Today, we explore the life and teachings of Epictetus, the slave who became a sage, and whose ideas continue to inspire millions to live with virtue, inner freedom, and serenity. Prepare to discover how his words, forged in adversity, can transform your way of seeing the world. If you like the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. You'll help us create more videos. We'll begin with a beautiful story, continue with a brief biography, and finally, we'll review his great work, the Enchiridion. Welcome to the adventure of knowledge.
Make yourselves comfortable, because this story will teach you a lesson that could change your outlook on life. In a small town lived a young man named Marco, who always complained about his fate. He didn't have much money, his house was modest, and his job at the local library barely covered his living. Every day she watched with envy those who passed by in their luxurious carriages, dreaming of a life she believed she deserved. One afternoon, while sorting books, he found an ancient manuscript. In its yellowing pages, he discovered the words of a wise man named Epictetus. "It's not the things that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them," Marco read with curiosity. Intrigued, he continued reading for hours. The manuscript discussed how true freedom lies not in controlling the outside world, but in mastering our thoughts and desires. Marco began to reflect on his own life. Day after day, Marco returned to that manuscript. He learned that happiness doesn't depend on what we have, but on how we interpret what happens to us. He began to value his work at the library, which allowed him to be surrounded by knowledge. He began to appreciate his modest home, which provided him with refuge and peace. Over time, Marco noticed that people came to him for advice. His serenity and wisdom had become evident to all. He no longer envied luxurious carriages. He had found a more valuable treasure, inner peace. One day, a wealthy merchant visited the library. He observed how Marco helped others with patience and kindness. Impressed, he asked her, "What is the secret of your happiness?" Marco smiled and replied, "I learned that we can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. True wealth lies in accepting what we cannot change and working on what we can improve." The merchant, moved, realized that all his wealth had not brought him the peace that Marco had found in his simple life as a librarian. Stories spread throughout the town. People began to understand that happiness did not depend on external circumstances, but on how we choose to see the world. The library became a meeting place where people sought not only books, but also wisdom. Marco never left his job at the library. He understood that his true mission was to share what he had learned with others. "Life," he said, "is like a theater where everyone has an assigned role. The important thing is not what role we play, but how we play it." This story teaches us, dear friends, that true freedom and happiness lie not in changing the outside world, but in transforming our inner world. As Epictetus said, some things are in our power and others are not. Wisdom lies in knowing how to distinguish between one and the other. Every time we face a difficult situation, let us remember Marco and his discovery. It's not the events that make us suffer, but our interpretation of them. We can choose to see obstacles as opportunities for growth. Epictetus's philosophy, conveyed through the story of Marcus, reminds us that true wealth lies in peace of mind, in accepting what is, and in cultivating our inner strength. Sometimes a simple shift in perspective can transform an entire life. Remember that every day is a new opportunity to practice wisdom and find inner peace.
If you like it, give it a like and subscribe. Below, we present the little we know about his biography.
Have you ever wondered how someone born a slave became one of history's most influential philosophers? Today we're going to learn the fascinating story of Epictetus, a man who taught us that true freedom depends not on external circumstances, but on our minds. Imagine being born in ancient Rome, a slave, and still managing to transform your life and the lives of thousands of people throughout the centuries. This is exactly what Epictetus did, who was born around 55 AD in what we know today as Turkey. But here's the interesting part. Despite being a slave to Epaphroditus, a secretary to the Emperor Nero, Epictetus had an opportunity that would change his life forever. He had access to a philosophical education and studied with Musonius Rufus, one of the greatest Stoic masters of his time. Can you imagine the hunger for knowledge he must have had to take advantage of every learning moment? Life was not easy for him. It is said that his master mistreated him so much that he caused a permanent disability in his leg. But here's the most powerful lesson. Instead of becoming bitter, Epictetus transformed his suffering into wisdom. As he himself would later teach, it is not the events that affect us, but our interpretation of them. When he finally gained his freedom, Epictetus began teaching philosophy in Rome. But fate had other plans. In 93, Emperor Domitian expelled all philosophers from Rome. A setback? Not at all. Epictetus moved to Nicopolis, Greece, where he founded his own school and achieved his greatest success. And you know what's most surprising? Epictetus never wrote anything. Everything we know about him was recorded by his student Arrian. His teachings were so practical and powerful that they even inspired emperors like Marcus Aurelius. His main message was simple but profound. Let's focus on what we can control and accept what's out of our hands. Epictetus taught us that true wealth lies not in material things, but in our ability to maintain serenity in any circumstance. He lived simply until his death around 135, but his legacy lives on and is more relevant than ever in our world today. Isn't it incredible how someone who began life as a slave could leave such a profound mark on the history of human thought? His teachings on inner freedom, resilience in the face of adversity, and the importance of focusing on what we can control are as valid today as they were 2,000 years ago.
If you like it, give it a like and subscribe. Now, we will go through the 66 teachings of his work, brief but full of depth, the Enchiridion.
1. There are things that depend on us and others that don't. What we think, what we desire, what we avoid, what we choose to do or not do depends on us. Our body, our social position, the recognition of others, or external events do not depend on us. If you understand and live this distinction, you will be free. If not, you will be a slave to what you cannot control. 2. Don't cling to anything as if it were yours forever. If you embrace your child, remember that it is mortal. If you enjoy a possession, remember that it can be lost. This attitude doesn't extinguish love, but rather makes it wise. You enjoy without clinging, you love without possessing. 3. When something bad happens, don't say, "This is a misfortune." Say, "This has been given to me to work on my character." The important thing isn't what happens, but how you respond. Every difficulty can be a training ground for your soul. 4. Don't boast about things that are not within your control. Don't say, "I'm rich" or "I'm successful," but rather, "I've acted virtuously" or "I've mastered my passions." Only these are truly yours. 5. If you want to live in peace, don't desire what is beyond your control. Those who desire what they cannot control inevitably suffer. But those who align their desire with reality are never frustrated. 6. Before acting, examine your intention. Are you seeking praise, avoiding criticism? Then you're acting from ego. If you're acting out of duty, virtue, or wisdom, then you're on the right path. 7. The wise man is neither disturbed by losses nor intoxicated by achievements. He knows that everything passes. The only thing that endures is the soul trained in virtue. 8. If someone hurts you with words, remember, you decide whether those words enter your soul or not. It's not the insults that hurt us, it's giving them power. 9. Don't live for the approval of others. If you worry about pleasing everyone, you'll live like a slave. Do what's right, even if no one sees it. That's true freedom. 10. Train your mind as you train your body. The soul also needs discipline, perseverance, and endurance. Untamed desires make you weak. A trained mind makes you invincible. 11. Accept death as a natural part of life. Meditate on it not to fear it, but to live better. Those who remember their end live with greater intention. 12. Pleasure is seductive, but it often leads us away from virtue. Not everything pleasurable is good, nor is everything painful bad. Learn to distinguish clearly. 13. If something bothers you, ask yourself, is this up to me? If not, let it go. If it is, Act wisely. This question can restore your calm time and time again. 14. Live like an actor in a play you didn't write. You don't choose your role, but you can play it with excellence. If you're poor, be noble in poverty. If you're rich, be just in abundance. Your virtue lies in how you act, not in the script. 15. Don't argue with fools. Don't try to convince someone who doesn't want to listen. Sometimes silence is the greatest wisdom. 16. Train yourself in small sacrifices. Fast for a day, endure the cold, give up a pleasure. This way you will strengthen your soul for when a great trial comes. 17. A peaceful soul doesn't depend on its surroundings. You can be in the midst of hustle and bustle and be at peace, or you can be alone and feel disturbed. The key is within, not without. 18. Let your appearance reflect simplicity and honesty. You don't need to adorn yourself with luxury. Let your virtue be your greatest beauty. 19. Learn to listen. Often those who talk a lot hide insecurity. The wise observe, reflect, and then speak clearly. 20. If you lose something external, don't say, "I've lost it," but rather, "It has been returned to me." Nothing external truly belongs to you. What is yours cannot be lost. Your character, your mind, your virtue. 21. Don't be impressed by those who wield power, wealth, or influence. If someone can make you feel less because of their outward appearance, you've forgotten what truly matters. A virtuous soul is worth more than any position or fortune. 22. When you see someone achieve something you desire, don't envy the outcome. Observe the journey. Are you willing to train, to sacrifice, to act like that person? If not, don't desire their destiny because you don't want their discipline. 23. Don't be afraid of mockery or criticism. If you live virtuously, you have nothing to fear. The judgments of others do not define your worth. Remember, many have laughed at the wise, but no one has taken their peace. 24. Freedom begins when you release the desire to control the uncontrollable. This includes other people's opinions, destiny, health, and even your loved ones. Love them deeply, but don't try to possess them. 25. Don't promise what you're not sure you can keep. Your word must be sacred. Speak sparingly, but act firmly. 26. If you fail, don't wallow in guilt. Acknowledge the mistake, correct it, and move on. Chronic guilt doesn't help, action does. 27. The Stoic does not suppress emotions, but rather places them under the guidance of reason. To feel is human, to act wisely is divine. 28. Learn to lose. Losing is part of the game of life. What matters is how you play, not whether you always win. Nobility lies in the attitude. 29. Don't talk too much about your accomplishments. Let your actions speak for themselves. A wise person doesn't need constant recognition. 30. Live each day as if it were a preparation for death. This meditation isn't gloomy but liberating. You prioritize what's important, letting go of what's superficial. 31. When you serve others or perform your duties, do it with love, not resentment. Greatness lies in serving with a pure heart.
If you like it, give it a like and subscribe.
32. Don't desire what others have. Desire to understand who you are. Envy blinds, self-knowledge liberates. 33. If fate robs you of something dear to you, remember, nothing was ever yours. Acceptance is not resignation, but a maturity of soul. 34. A wise man prefers to lose an argument rather than maintain his composure. What good is being right if you lose your peace? 35. Practice daily gratitude. Don't expect great miracles. Value breathing, walking, eating, and talking. Those who are grateful for the simple experience the extraordinary. 36. Don't expect everyone to understand your path. What is a virtue for you may seem strange to others. Follow your own path with confidence. 37. Train your attention. A scattered mind gets lost in everything. A focused mind creates freedom. 38. Forgive quickly. Resentment is a prison. Forgiveness doesn't mean making excuses, but rather freeing yourself from the burden of hatred. 39. Sometimes it's better to appear ignorant and be wise than to appear wise and be ignorant. Don't seek to impress, seek to understand. 40. Take care of your soul like a gardener takes care of his garden. Pull weeds, water virtue, protect the seed of goodness. No one will do it for you. 41. Remember that you can't learn everything at once. Philosophy is a constant training. Be patient with yourself. 42. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. The wise man feels pain, but he doesn't let it dominate him. 43. Love duty. Not out of obligation, but because your soul is elevated when you do what's right. 44. If someone does wrong, pity them, don't hate them. Wrongdoing is punishment enough. 45. Don't live on autopilot. Question your habits. Every daily act can be an act of philosophy. 46. Speak only if what you are going to say is more valuable than silence. Words can heal or wound. Use your tongue with respect. 47. Be kind to everyone, but don't associate with what harms your soul. Company shapes character. 48. The wise man acts the same whether he is alone or observed. His ethics do not depend on the public. 49. Don't worry about the future. Foresight is wise, anxiety is useless. Live well today. 50. Meditate on the death of those you love, not to depress yourself, but to love them more. Every moment is a gift. 51. Learn from nature. The tree doesn't complain about the wind, it simply bends. The stone doesn't argue with the river, it is simply molded. 52. The wise man doesn't cling even to his own ideas if he discovers they are wrong. Truth is above pride. 53. Master your reaction to criticism. If it's false, ignore it. If it's true, acknowledge it. 54. True wealth is needing little. He who needs little is never poor. 55. The wise do not seek to punish, but to understand. Understanding transforms more than revenge. 56. Every morning say, "Today I will encounter difficult people," and be prepared to respond with virtue, not reaction. 57. Cultivate an even mind. Fortune changes. Your character should not change with it. 58. Don't judge someone who stumbles. You stumble too. Instead, lend a hand. 59. Philosophy is not theory, it's practice. It's not about saying the right thing, but about living it. 60. The wise man dies as he lived, with serenity. He doesn't fear death because he has made peace with life. 61. When in doubt, choose the most virtuous path, not the easiest. Easy things often deceive. Virtuous things always teach. 62. If you want power, start by mastering yourself. There is no nobler conquest. 63. Choose role models you admire and observe them closely. Not to copy them, but to inspire you to grow. 64. The wise man rejoices in the good of others. He doesn't compete, he celebrates. He doesn't compare, he shares. 65. Don't place your happiness in externals. Place it in your attitude. Freedom begins when you stop depending on what you don't control. 66. Life is short. Don't waste it on things that don't elevate the soul. Be brave, be wise, be free.
These meditations by Epictetus, developed here with depth and warmth, form an eternal guide for conscious living. You can listen to them every day. The voice that narrates them is not as important as the spirit with which you receive them. May this philosophical path be, for you, an exercise in inner freedom. If you liked content on this channel, please like and subscribe. You'll help us create more videos.